What's going on, Legend Coots? This is going to be a guide for how to play Super Smash Bros. Now keep in mind, this first video is going to be a guide for overall beginners, and I mean like beginners. I'm going to teach you from the ground up how to start playing Super Smash Bros. And I did this because some of the viewers on my live streams just honestly don't know the game, and I know there isn't like a tutorial in the game that actually teaches you everything, so that's what I plan to get done with this video. So first off, the most important thing I think you need to do is go click on Smash and then come down here where it says modify controls. You need to go and create a name. Of course, I already have my controls set up here. And then depending on what controller you use, most people use the GameCube controllers, some people use these controllers. I definitely do not recommend sideways Joy-Con at all because you just don't have enough buttons to play this game reliably. And I do use this. The Joy-Con aren't really that good because the left analog stick isn't accurate and you need it to be accurate. The first thing I do is go into other settings. Smash attack, if you press your attack and special at the same time, it will allow you to charge a smash attack. I usually just have that off because I already have smash attack set to the right analog stick, so I don't need to do that. But some people might have it on if they had right smash attack set to tilt attack, but it just depends on your controls. So what stick jump does is when you press up, you jump just like in other fighting games. I usually have it off. The reason I have it off is because if you press something like up tilt, you would never jump. However, if you have it on, every time you press up, you will automatically jump. And so in order to do an up tilt, you have to barely tilt the left analog stick up in order to do this. And so I just turn it off because, you know, if you're in the middle of a fight, being able to manually think, oh, let me barely tilt it up to do an up tilt might be hard to do without like a lot of practice, so I just have it off. Left stick sensitivity changes how much sensitivity is used for smash attacks, because you can do smash attacks by pressing in the direction at the same time as you're pressing the attack. The left analog stick in the direction at the same time. What the sensitivity does is changes like how many frames it requires you to do that. And since I already have smash attack set to my right analog stick, I have it on low sensitivity because I use most of my tilts while holding in the direction like normal. Whereas if you're using tilt stick, then since you're doing all your attacks like this, most people, they would turn the sensitivity to high and smash attack on, so that they can do smash attacks easily by pressing A and B and stuff, and then tilt to stick for all your tilt attacks. Alright, so if you have stick jump off, make sure you assign one of your other buttons to jump. And you might be wondering why my controls are set up like this. It's just a personal preference. You don't have to copy my controls, set it to whatever you're comfortable with, because some people might like B to jump. And you're probably wondering why I have two shield buttons. But when you have two shield buttons, you can actually hold your shield and spin like this when you hold both shield buttons, and you'll never roll. So the first thing you need to learn are the global names for every character's moves in the game. And if you don't know all of your character's moves, you haven't even began to scratch the bare surface of learning Smash Bros. And so what I did when I first started playing the game, of course you don't have to do this to this extremes like me, is I went with every character in the game and just sat here in the training room and learned every single move. So we're going to go over how to do every single move with just about every character. Of course, some characters might have some special exceptions, but everyone generally follows this exact same move set, which is your neutral attack. If you just press your attack button without moving, this is your jab. Every character for the most part has a jab. If you go and walk up to an enemy and hold the jab button, they do an automatic hit combo. Some characters might have a flurry jab where you do multiple attacks if you hold it. Other characters might just have a 3-hit jab like Mario, for example. Now you just want to make sure if you're doing a multi-hit jab that you let go of it before the opponent gets too far away from you. Because if they get too far away, you'll continue doing a multi-jab and then they'll just go and get out and they can punish you. But in case I forgot to mention this, for all your specials and every single attack I mentioned up to this point, because a lot of people don't realize this, hold the direction first. Like right now I'm holding up and then press that button. A lot of people try to press them at the same time, and then that's where they get button input issues. I've always been playing where I hold the direction first, then press that button. That way, I never get the wrong input. It's just that simple. Just make sure you keep that in mind while doing all of these moves. Now, you have tilt attacks. Now, keep in mind, this is what it's called, and a lot of people are going to refer to it by tilts. Tilts are if you hold in a direction and you press A while you are on the ground. So that your up tilt, you hold up and you press A. Your forward tilt, you hold forward and you press A. Down tilt, you press downward and you press A. Now, forward is always considered forward because you always walk in the direction you press A, so you don't have a back tilt. Now, keep in mind your forward tilt can usually be angled up, sideways, and down, depending on where you're holding the analog stick, and that could change things such as knockback on enemies or even damage, because generally higher aimed tilts usually do more knockback but less damage, and lower base tilts usually do more damage but less knockback. And it's actually a reference to boxing, because usually when you're boxing and you hit someone in the face, that's more likely to knock them out, but isn't going to do like a high amount of overall damage, where if you go for body blows, that does more damage to the body over time and wears them down. So keep in mind, up tilt, forward tilt, down tilt, and neutral attack or jab. So you got to make sure you go and practice these with all your characters, because a lot of these moves are good for like spacing or catching attacks on the ground. Okay, now we're going to still be pressing the attack button. We're going to be going over your aerial attacks. You have neutral air when you just press the attack button without holding in a direction. Now keep in mind, you can go and use your neutral air while moving if you just let go of the analog stick and you press the neutral air. And you see how I'm just doing neutral air but I'm still moving forward. You don't have, if you hold in any direction, you'll never do a neutral air. Oh, another thing I should mention before I get to all the aerials, you can fast fall. Some people don't know you can fast fall. If you press down at the top of your jump or any point in the air after doing jump, you will fall way faster. I know when I first started playing Smash Bros, I just never fast fell, and I just thought it was like, what's the point of it? But as I got better at the game, I realized being able to get to the ground instantaneously is a huge advantage in the game. And if you don't know how to fast fall, you just stay in the air and opponents can take advantage of you and juggle you. Now keep in mind, you can't do a fast fall if you just got hit. So you do need to do like, I don't know, an aerial to fall real quick. And you can fast fall like a lot of time. Be careful not to fast fall while off the stage, because that can get you killed. Okay, now back to the attacks. So you have your neutral attack, and now you also have up air. If you hold up and press attack while in the air. Up airs are usually very good for juggling enemies. So like if you hit an enemy in the air, you just up air to keep them above you. And the reason you want to be good at doing this is because if you juggle opponents and keep them in the air and they don't touch the ground, they have a huge disadvantage, because falling down onto an opponent is not as easy to do as hitting an opponent from below and hitting them upwards. Now you have down air when you hold down and press A. This, of course, varies between characters. Some characters have a spike, which would knock someone straight down when you do it. Other characters have different moves. It depends. It just depends on what character you're using. Down airs sometimes, depending on the move, can contest someone below you. Sometimes to hit someone above you. It just depends. But keep in mind, if you see an opponent and you like got hit, don't just try to down air straight into them, because sometimes their up air can just straight up beat out your up air. Wait, I said that wrong. My bad. Sometimes their up air can just straight up beat out your down air, and just approaching from above is not always the best option. Now, you in the air, unlike the ground, in the air you have a back air and a forward air, depending on which direction your character is facing. So if you press attack in the same direction of your character forward, you get your forward air, and if you press in direction towards your back, you get your back air. And yes, this does change if you change directions. So if I'm looking to the left and I press forward, it becomes a forward air, and if I press back, it becomes a back air. Well, I messed up, but there you go, back air. So it does depend on your body direction, whether you do a back air or forward air. Just keep in mind, forward means the direction your character is facing. Backwards means the direction your character is not facing. Back airs are usually really good moves for getting kills. For the most part, it's a lot of characters' strongest aerial outside of spikes are back airs, and they usually are the most safe aerial and do a lot of knockback and kill. They're best for killing. However, keep in mind, of course, characters are different, but generally back airs are like the best for killing. Whereas forward air, neutral air, and up air usually for most of your other attacks. Now let's go over specials. Specials can change while in the air or on the ground, but generally that's usually some of the newer characters in the game. Most of the older characters in the game, their specials are generally the same on the ground or in the air. They're called neutral special when you just press special without holding any direction. And just like neutral air, you can use this in the air just by jumping and then letting your stick go back to the neutral position and pressing special. A lot of neutral specials, if you throw a projectile, you probably want to jump along with it, because if you just do it on the ground, you're kind of sitting stuck. But if you do it while you jump, now you're moving, which makes it harder for your opponent to hit you. But of course, not all neutral specials are projectiles, and it just depends on the character. Now your down special, but some down specials for a lot of characters are counters or reflectors. And counters allow you to reflect damage back to characters up close, whereas reflectors reflect projectiles. It depends on your character, but just keep in mind you want to know what your down special is. Forward special is, again, another thing that depends on your character, because all special moves depend on characters. But keep in mind, you do not have a back special. It's just like when you're on the ground, your specials of going back and forward are the exact same. So you only have 4 special moves: sideways, neutral, down, and then of course your up special. Now, I like to argue that for a lot of characters, your up special is the most important special in the game. And when I say learn this, you will lose if you don't know how to use your up special. Because your up special basically acts like a final jump to get back to the stage if you ever get knocked off. See, if you jump, if you don't know how to up special, this is how high Mario can get. But if you do know how your up special, look how much more distance he gets. Now we're gonna go over grabs. If I can, you know what, let me just get over there. Okay. So when you grab an opponent, you basically hold on to them, and you can do 5 options. You have pummel when you press the attack button or special button, and you just basically do this. However, this is not safe. When you grab an opponent, you only hold them for a certain amount of time, which it can vary by a lot depending on multiple factors. Their percent, the less damage they have, the quicker they get out naturally. The more damage they have, the longer it takes for them to get out. And it also depends on the opponent mashing. If you get grab and you mash the analog stick or any buttons, you'll get out of the grab significantly faster. So if you grab an opponent on low percents, you kind of want to throw them immediately, because they'll break out so quickly from mashing that you won't be able to do anything. However, if they're at a high percent, you can grab them and throw like maybe 2 or 3 pummels in and do just a little bit of extra damage, and then throw them in order to maximize the amount of damage. Now let's go over your throws. You have 4 throws, and it all depends on the direction you press and the way you are facing. When you grab an opponent and you press down, you do a down throw. Now you can't kind of see this because I beat this dummy up a lot, but generally a lot of down throws have low knockback, and you might be able to do a down throw and follow it up with an attack to do a combo on an opponent. Of course, this does depend on character, because some characters might bury or do different things, but that's generally what down throws can do. Up throw throws your opponent straight up. Some characters can do combos from up throws at low percentages, and then other characters might just be able to kill you by throwing you straight up, depending on the percentage. And you gotta be wary of that, and it just depends on the character, because some characters don't have kill throws, some characters do have kill throws, and some characters' kill throws may not be up throw, it might be forward throw or back throw. Alright, and then forward throw, you grab them and you throw them forward the same direction you are facing, and you have back throw when you grab them and throw them backwards the opposite direction you are facing. So keep in mind when you play the game and whatever character you're using, you want to keep in mind and know what each throw does. Okay, now shielding. This is a very important mechanic and a lot of beginners just do not use this for some reason. Shielding blocks attacks. It is very important to know how to shield. Now when you shield, you see how your shield gets smaller? Now there is a thing called shield poking. Oh wait, by the way, if you hold your shield too long, it explodes and you get confused like this. You can mash to get out of this faster, but yeah, you're gonna be left wide open if you let your shield explode. So don't hold shield too much. Now, as I was saying, shield poking, you see how your shield gets smaller, right? If someone aims their attack at a spot that isn't in your shield, like for example, someone would have aimed their attack upwards and hit Mario in the face, even though I'm shielding, I would get hit. The reason is because my shield only blocks specific parts of my body. So this is when shield angling comes in handy. You can do your shield angles by either tilting the analog stick slightly, or like I said earlier, having two shield buttons and you can just do this and aim your shield. So if you know your opponent's aiming like for your feet, for example, you're on a platform and you know they're going to be aiming at your feet, you want to angle downwards so they don't hit your feet. Or if you know an opponent is jumping and they're about to hit you from above, you angle your shield upwards to block the attack from above. If your opponent's in front of you, you aim it forward, or they're behind you, aim it backwards. Basically, you just want to aim it in the general direction the opponent is coming from so you can block the attack. Now, there's also another option with shield which is called rolling. If you hold shield and you press forward or backwards, you do a roll. When you roll, you are not invincible for the first few frames. So if you saw an attack and you tried rolling and you got hit and you're like, what, I rolled? The reason is because you're not invincible. It only becomes invincible midway through the roll, and it stops being invincible at the beginning and the end. So you kind of have to time it correctly. You can't just spam it. The only exception is if, for example, you are holding shield and someone was doing a multi-jab. They have a mechanic where if you got hit by 10 very quick attacks in succession, you gain frame 1 invincibility. And so you are invincible at the very beginning of the roll. So, for example, if someone was doing a jab combo on your shield and they hit it more than 10 times, you can actually roll straight forward right and end up right behind them because you have frame 1 invincibility, whereas that wouldn't work if you don't wait for those 10 hits. You also have the option for a down roll, which is called spot dodge if you press down while holding shield. This allows you to dodge in place, and it allows you to like maybe punish someone if you thought they were going to like attack you in that spot and you just spot dodge. They also have spot dodge canceling, which if you spot dodge and press like a smash attack, you can do a smash attack and as soon as your invincibility ends from doing a spot dodge. Now you also have, if you press shield in the air, you also have aerial dodges. And the neutral air is if you press shield without holding in a direction. And like I said, like aerial attacks, you can also do neutral air dodges that follow your character's direction. Now, the reason you might want to do this is because neutral air dodge has the least amount of end lag and it's one of the safest air dodges you can do. But the drawback is it follows your momentum, so if an opponent is looking at where you're going, it can probably punish you, but it is one of the safest options. And when you're off stage, it is also really good because if you do an air dodge while off stage, you won't have as much lag and you have a higher option of being able to recover. Now, there's also directional air dodges, which if you hold up or you hold down or to the side, whatever direction you're holding, you air dodge in that direction. Now, directional air dodges might help some characters with poor recoveries get back to the stage, like a forward air dodge to get some more distance, or an upwards air dodge. It depends on the character. But keep in mind, an air dodge that's a directional air dodge that has a set distance you have to fall before you can do anything again. Cause like, look, if I do a neutral air dodge, I can up tilt before I touch the ground. But if I do like an upwards air dodge, I can't up tilt. You see this? I can't. But neutral air dodge, I can. If I do a downwards air dodge, I can't. If I do a forward air dodge, I can't. And you see, even though you go up with the upwards air dodge, they still have the thing set to where you land at a certain distance, you can't move. It's the same distance for all air dodges. Well, my bad, not distance, but certain height from where you started it. So even if you upwards air dodge, you still have the exact same height that you can't move anything as a downwards air dodge. So doing an air dodge off stage in a direction will get you killed if you are, I want to say, just about at ledge height. So you don't want to do an air dodge off stage, and only neutral air dodge if you're around the ledge height or lower. Keep in mind, I almost forgot to say this, rolls can be punished very easily if you do them too many times. The more you roll in a row, the more lag it has and less invincibility. You see how slow Mario is rolling now? So a lot of beginners fall into the habit of like, oh, rolls are invincible, let me spam it. But they program a mechanic where you're gonna get punished. So if I notice the opponent is rolling a lot, I'm like, okay, I can just react to the roll and kill him now. So don't abuse roll, and don't forget, you do have a shield that can block attacks. You want a good defense has a good mix of blocking attacks with shield, rolls and stuff, but not spamming an option too many times. Thing you need to learn are smash attacks. Of course, it depends on your setting. I have it on an analog stick, but your smash attacks are moves that are basically meant for killing the opponent, not for doing damage. Because I see a lot of people use smash attacks just for doing a bunch of damage, and you're generally not supposed to with most characters. They're supposed to be used for killing opponents. So when at a high amount of percentage, like if you want to hit them upwards, you can do an up smash. If you want to hit them forward, you can do a forward smash. You don't have a back smash because that's just going to be a forward smash. You also have a down smash, which may not kill as quickly, but it covers both sides of your body. Like, for example, the opponent did like the up special in the air and they're free falling. You're not exactly sure which side of the body they're going to fall on you. You can just charge down smash, you can hit them. Oh yeah, smash attacks also can be charged. The longer you hold it, the more knockback it has. But keep in mind, you can hold it to a certain point, but after your character stops moving, the knockback doesn't increase. Can you see how right here, Mario just stops moving? So that entire time I'm holding it, he's not getting any more charge. Because this and this both have the exact same amount of knockback. So once your character stops moving, you don't need to hold it any longer unless you're trying to space for a specific attack or something. They only increase the amount of time you can hold it just so you can have a higher chance of hitting someone with it. But it does not increase knockback. So don't sit here on an opponent that's like weak and you're just sitting here holding the thing forever, because you're just wasting time and they could break out of whatever thing that had them in a bind that allows you to kill them. But remember, smash attacks are for killing. And the reason I want to tell you this is because they have this thing called move scaling, which makes your moves weaker the more times you use it. You have, like, I want to say the last 10 moves you used, and yes, this counts as 2 moves. If you hit an opponent for up tilt and hit them up again, that is 2 moves and they get stalled twice. Now the last 10 moves you use all get stalled and get weaker and scaled down each time you use them. And so that's the reason why you don't want to use your kill moves until it is time to kill. Because if you're just spamming your up smash all the time, and by the time they're like at 100 and you're still doing the up smash, it's not gonna kill them as easily because the move has less knockback, less damage, and everything. So that's why I try to tell beginners, like, use all your other moves, because the more your moves you mix into your gameplay, the more damage you're able to do. And then save your killing moves for when they need to kill. That's a reason why a lot of people, when fighting me, I just do not die to their attacks, and it's because they spam smash attacks and stuff all the time. They use the exact same moves all the time, and when you keep using the exact same move, you get less and less damage and knockback. So save your killing moves till the right time to kill. I cannot stress that enough. You will not kill reliably if you do not save your kill moves till then. You also have taunts in different directions. This doesn't really matter, but yeah. Okay, next we're gonna go over training mode. If you go to games and more, and then go right here where it's called training, you can sit here and just train very easily and see a lot of mechanics in the game. As for what character you should use, it kind of depends on said character. When I first started playing Smash Bros, even though I tell you I main Pikachu, technically the first character I actually learned was Kirby. Kirby is actually a beginner-friendly character and probably one of the easiest characters to learn in the game. And it's because Kirby has a lot of aerial jumps, making it easier to get back to the stage. And some moves that kind of help beginners, but Kirby kind of falls off once you get better at the game. And I don't recommend maining Kirby and maining another character. Okay, the training room, which is a big room for training. This platform over here is Battlefield. So like I said, depending on your character, you want to learn everything. In the training room, you can set damages for opponents for like combos. Let's see. You can also control CPU behavior. If you put the CPU on control, you can have another person control the CPU. And then other settings. Let me see. There's something here. Stale moves. Yeah, you want to keep stale moves on. Remember I was telling you about moves getting less damage and stuff? This shows you here, right here. It shows you right here in the menu that you can do less damage. Player damage. It doesn't matter that much. I mean, there is a thing called rage. As you see, your numbers get bigger, right? And get more redder. You actually get rage. And so with rage, you actually have increased knockback on your attacks the more damage you have. And as you can see, you see how Pikachu is like smoking. What percent? 120. Yeah. So over 120%. You see how Pikachu's health bar smoking and Pikachu's starting to smoke a little bit. And the more that goes up, the more like you start smoking. So you see this? So this is rage. So if an opponent does not kill you, you get rage. And rage allows you to kill opponents way sooner than you normally can, which is an important mechanic of being able to survive and kill your opponents. That's the reason why like a lot of people just die out of nowhere is because they never killed their opponent and they have a bunch of rage. The direction you're holding while you're getting hit is actually very important. It does influence the trajectory that you fly at, but it could change the difference between dying and not dying. Kirby is at 70, right? And I hit Kirby for forward smash. If Kirby does not hold in a direction, Kirby falls right there at about 14 distance. You see that? Now, if I hold forward smash and Kirby is holding towards me when they get hit, there we go, I did it right. So you see how Kirby just fell out to number 10? So yeah, no DI, Kirby went to almost 14. DIing towards me by holding to the left when they get hit, Kirby did not fly as far. If Kirby's holding to the right while they get hit, Kirby goes much farther and is more likely to die. And so, when you're getting hit, think of your TV screen as your death zone. If you're getting hit sideways, you want to hold the direction towards the center of the stage. If you hit to the right, you hold to the left. If you hit to the left, you hold to the right. You go less distance and you're less likely to die if you're holding the correct direction. It's called DI, which is directional influence. And your influence which direction you go. Now with up smashes to kind of work the other way around. If you get hit, you go straight up. You see this, right? And generally, you want to hold in a direction that does not make you go straight up. So if you hold towards your opponent, that most likely get you killed because you just go straight, even more straight up. But if you hold away from your opponent, you're less likely to get killed because you're gonna go sideways. You see that? How much to the side Kirby went instead of going straight up? So just keep in mind, upwards attacks you want to hold away from the character that hits you because you're not going to go straight up. Whereas sideways attacks, you want to hold towards the character that hits you so you don't go as far. These will make you live for much longer than usual and are very important hidden mechanics in the game that they don't really explain anywhere as far as I know. Now keep in mind, you can also DI on weaker attacks. Okay, so you generally if an opponent is trying to hit you at a low percent, You actually want to DI away from them because they won't have enough knockback to kill you, but it will make you go flying further away so you don't end up being close and it can combo you easily. And there's also a thing called Smash DI. A lot of people don't use it, but you can actually get out of some multi-hit attacks if you do Smash DI by mashing in a direction. You like go, if you mash in a direction, like I'm just mashing away while getting hit, I actually can move my body while getting hit and go further away. It's kind of hard to do because I only got like one person, but that is a thing. Oh wait, I know. So you don't hold any direction, you just stay there. But you can kind of like move your body a little bit. It's kind of hard to see, but you can move your body a little bit. It's kind of hard to explain some of these things. I only got like one controller, but it's a lot of things you can do. Okay, now this is an important thing that I gotta show out beginners because a lot of beginners just don't understand the triangle of fighting games, and that is an option beats every option. So there's attack, there's shield, and there's grab. This is your attack triangle, and one of these beat the other options. If your opponent is attacking, you beat it by blocking. Oh wait. Oh yeah, if your opponent is attacks cannot beat blocks. Now, if your opponent is blocking, it loses to grabs. If your opponent is blocking, you can just grab them. And if your opponent is grabbing, you can beat it with attacks. Attacks generally most of the time will always beat blocking. That is your attack triangle, and it's an important thing beginners need to learn, because if you have an opponent who likes to block a lot and you're always attacking, you're most likely going to lose, and you need to start grabbing them more. If you have an opponent that grabs a lot, it's probably because you're blocking too much and you need to stop blocking and move around and attack more, or do some rolls, because rolls are kind of invincible and beat everything for the most part, but you don't want to spam that because they can get a read on that and kill you. And if your opponent is attacking way too much and you're just getting beat up, just block or roll, get around them, do your defensive options. You also have this thing called perfect shields, which if you let go of shield right like that, if you let go of shield right when you get hit by attack, you do a perfect shield, which gives you some frame advantage and allows you to do attack and hit an opponent easily. Oh, I forgot. This also, if you're holding shield and you press attack, you will grab. So like if an opponent like attacks the very close to you and you block it, you can just shield grab. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Like that. You can also do up Bs out of shield, which, depending on the character, is not really something Pikachu does a lot, but some characters, like, I think Kirby, for example, could do an up B out of shield, or up special. The final thing we're going to cover in this video today is advantage state, or basically the overall state of the game. A lot of beginners don't understand the state of the game and what they can do depending on which state they're in: advantage state, disadvantage state, or neutral. When you are in neutral, you have certain moves you want to use to fight your opponent. Neutral is when both you and the opponent are on equal ground. None of you have an advantage over each other. The state me and this Kirby are in right now is neutral. And there's certain attacks you only will use in neutral, and disadvantage in other things. Like right now, it would make no sense for me to just do this move because this move sucks, and if the Kirby just moves, I get a bunch of lag and it can punish me. But what moves I would like to use are like my tilt attacks and my aerial attacks, because these are good neutral moves to fight against the opponent. Smash attacks, not a good idea, because unless the opponent's about to die and I have a read on them, the opponent can just simply block my smash attack or dodge it, and then come and punish me for doing it. Now, when you beat your opponent enough in neutral, you go into advantage state. For example, if I hit this Kirby up in the air, I now have an advantage. Their options are very limited to only aerial attacks or specials, and since I am below them, I control the stage and I can do basically whatever I want to them. and the opponent has limited options. Now, I see a lot of beginners do the same mistake, especially if they use Kirby, and they just want to force themselves down by doing this. But that's a horrible option. It can be punished very easily. That is not a good move unless you know your opponent is going to be very aggressive and chase you in the air. Then you do this to punish them for doing it. But if your opponent is just low on the ground looking up at you, there's no reason to do that move because they can just move out the way or block it and then punish you for doing that. Now, when you're in the air like this disadvantage state. In disadvantage, your opponent basically can beat you out. And what you want to do in disadvantage is try to get out of it, but not force your way out to where your opponent can, punish you. And there's multiple ways to get out of disadvantage. You can air dodge, for example, which would make you invincible when you land on the ground. You can try to do an aerial if you know your character has a good aerial that can beat it. But like I said, don't make it so obvious like Kirby's rock thing and that they're going to punish you every time. You can also just simply jump away. When I play an opponent and they put me in disadvantage, my main focus is to get out of disadvantage, not attack them. Because when you're in the disadvantage, they're more likely to be able to beat you and do more damage. And the faster you get out of disadvantage and get back to neutral, the less damage you take and more likely you can win the game. That is why when the opponent is juggling me, I often either air dodge or just jump away and go to the ledge like this. Jump away, fast fall to ledge. Because at least when I get to the ledge, it gives me a little bit of invincibility and an option mix-up to get back onto the stage. But if every time you get hit in the air and you're just coming down up an aerial, the opponent, if they're smart, they can realize that and just kill you every single time. But keep in mind, each of these options can get you out of disadvantage, but if the opponent reads it, they can continue to push advantage. So try not to do the same option every time. Because a common option I see a lot of beginners, if they're not attacking as soon as they get hit, they're jumping every single time as soon as they get hit. Like they get hit off stage, they immediately jump. And the problem with that is if someone knows you're going to immediately jump and they just jump and hit you, now you're off stage again and you don't have a jump, which makes it even harder to get back to the stage and you're more likely to die. So keep in mind, if you get hit like off stage, do not jump immediately because you could get punished. Because keep in mind, unless you're like Kirby who has multiple jumps, most characters only have one jump they can do in the air. Now once you use it, you cannot use it again, and your only option after that is your special moves to get back to the stage. And so a lot of times, if I ever get hit off stage, I never use my jump. And you could even try to use your special, like Pikachu, without jumping, can get back to the stage from like this distance. But without a jump, Pikachu's options are very limited from where he can recover. But with a jump, I can recover from like super far away. You see how far away I can recover when I still have my jump? So it's very important that you keep your jump and if you get knocked off stage. So generally, I only jump if I know the opponent's combo, it cannot hit me, and I can jump away to safety. But I will not jump if I have a feeling they can still hit me. Of course, if you have a character that can fly, that might be a little different because you have multiple jumps, so you could get away with it. But generally, if your character cannot fly, you don't want to use your jump out of disadvantage unless you know for a fact you're gonna get away with it. And then on the ledge, when you're in disadvantage, you see how you're blinking? You do have some invincibility, but that does depend on your percentage and how long you've been in the air, which can give you even very short invincibility or even longer invincibility. It depends. But when you're on a ledge, you have multiple options you can choose from. You could just press forward and do a neutral get up. This is the safest option, and you even hold shield, so as soon as you get up you immediately shield, and unless the opponent is already attacking that and has a perfectly timed attack, this is generally the safest option to get off the ledge. I do this a lot because it's very safe and your opponent has to basically be ready to punish it to get you. Every other option from the ledge is not as safe and they can punish you. but you can roll from the ledge, which gives you invincibility until the last part of it. So if you notice your opponent is like on the ledge and they're just attacking here a lot, there's a good chance you might be able to roll past them, but keep in mind they could just do this and then run back and kill you for it. You can do an attack off ledge if you press attack or special. Now, this is not a good move because it's very laggy, and if your opponent just blocks it or stands away from it, they can just react and kill you for it. But generally, I only do it as like a get off me tool or a last resort to try to mix up the opponent. Like if I notice the opponent is just sitting here just like charging the smash attack right here like a fool, you could just do a get up attack and hit him because a get up attack is invincible and until after the attack for the most part. So if your opponent is just sitting here just attacking and stuff on the ledge like a fool and not giving like any type of respect at all, you can just do a get up attack to punish them. But keep in mind, when I think of a get up attack as a punish on the opponent over staying their welcome on the ledge, not just an option you choose normally. I don't use it unless I know I can hit the opponent with it. That's the main difference, because a lot of people just use it because they're master buttons or something, but it is not a move that you should do for free because someone can block it and punish you. The other option is jumping from ledge. Now, ledge jump does not have much invincibility when you jump, but it is the quickest option, and it's impossible for your opponent to react to it. They have to already be throwing out an attack to hit you. So it is the second safest ledge option, but it has the least amount of invincibility and can be punished. Sometimes I like to do a double jump from ledge because you just go up so quickly, it's hard for the opponent to punish it. But keep in mind, if they just stay grounded and they just see you double jump or something, they could just punish you, and then now you might be off the stage without your jump. So don't overuse it. There is also another option, which is kind of a mix of ledge jump and attacking, which is press backwards and then do an aerial attack onto the stage. Press backwards and then aerial attack onto stage. Now, this can potentially hit someone if they're like camping on the ledge, but it can also be very easy to punish because now you just use your ledge jump and you don't have any invincibility at all when you do this option. So, but it is a mix-up you can do. So those are like the different kinds of mix-ups you can do. Of course, some characters might have another mix-up, like Pikachu, for example, could use quick attack from ledge, and that's a whole nother thing someone has to pay attention to. And it just depends on the character. Keep in mind, when you're in advantage against a character, basically you want to juggle them in the air and keep them above you, and don't let them get back to the stage. And you want to knock them off towards the edge of the stage so that they can't come back, and if possible you might want to like attack them off stage and kill them, or depending on the character you might want to focus on ledge trapping and keeping them on the ledge the entire game. A lot of times when I fight opponents, a lot of my characters are very good at edge guarding, and you'll see me always fighting in the air to try to kill them, because most of my characters can't kill reliably on stage, but they excel in edge guarding. And so that's basically a character archetype I just like overall. I like trying to fight opponents off the stage, and I like being able to recover. But of course, there's different characters. Like some characters might have horrible off-stage options, so you just want to stay on the ledge and punish them for whatever option they choose when they come off the ledge. But generally, advantage state is when you want to push your offense and stop the opponent from being able to get back to the stage. You want to either keep them above you and juggle them, or keep knocking them off stage until you can kill them. I think that's just about all I want to say about this tutorial video for today. If you got any questions, make sure to leave it in the comment section, and I might make another video explaining some other things, but I think right now that's like a ton of information for a beginner to take in. So you probably might want to watch through the video, practice like each of the things I tell you, like especially the moves. If you don't even know every single move your opponent has and can't do it without not having to think about it, then you still haven't even scratched the surface of the game. Every move you should just be able to do without even thinking about it. Like if I just say do a down tilt, you should just be able to do it like that without even thinking. If I say do a back air, you should be able to do it without thinking. If I say just do a back roll, like you should be able to do all of these, up smash, forward smash, know the name of them and everything without having to think about it. So make sure you go back in the video, learn the name of every single move, because if you go and ask me something like, man, how do I do forward attack? I'm like, you mean forward to tilt? Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you know the correct terminology and stuff. And then just practice your character, learn every single move. The next step after learning the character would be understanding how to fight neutral game and advantage state, because though yes, you could learn combos, because a lot of people just want to go and immediately learn combos, but I think it's more important to understand the concept of neutral, advantage, and disadvantage, and what you should do in any of those situations as a beginner before you even begin to learn combos and stuff. And don't forget about DI, because that could be the difference between life and death. And keep in mind, don't steal your moves. Only use your kill moves when the opponent can kill. That's about all for today. And if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment saying like, yo, this is amazing, I can't wait for part 2 or something. And that should be about all for today. I used to live stream Smash Bros at least once a week, so make sure to stop by and watch that if you can. And until next time, remember to be a legend and have a great day. Thank you for staying until the end of the video, and remember, if you want to join the Bandicoot family, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and comment below. Alright, until next time, remember to be a legend and have a great day.